On you.
Welcome to episode 6 of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. Merry Christmas, Happy Kwanzaa, Happy Holidays to everyone. We were just talking about our holidays, and I think we all had a really nice one. So let's just get into it, right? There's so much happened this weekend. It was actually ended up being, obviously, it was the holidays, but it ended up being a really awesome weekend for sports.
Mm-hmm.
Lots of really fun games, lots of close games. And what would be a really amazing holiday present for us if you gave us a follow on our Instagram, Twitter/X, whatever you want to call it. Give us a follow. You know, we post some fun stuff all the time on there. Yeah. So, I got back Tuesday because I worked from home on Tuesday and then we drove back. It took us like almost 7 hours. Should have been it was horrible. Oh my gosh. I actually fell asleep for a lot of it, which Dan was less than pleased with. But yeah, when we were on our way down there, because I had to work the games on Saturday, we listened to UConn on
Sports radio.
Yes, on sports radio, which is actually kind of quiet. Now, I can't tell you the last time I listened to a game on the radio, which was really fun. So we did that. They won kind of in a nail biter, which so was kind of nice to get to. I know it's exciting. It's really, really tough to beat St. John's or St. whoever that team is. So it was fun. Get a first win in the Big East. But how about yourself? Nice holidays.
It was good. It was pretty good. Filled with a lot of hanging out. Like I said last week, ate some real good food. My mom really did it up. Some I don't mean to make y'all hungry, but some mac and cheese, some ribs, some ham, greens.
So good.
We have a mother from Little Rock, Arkansas. They just do it up with that Southern soul, baby.
Yes.
Yeah. So that hung out with family, played some 2K. Really nice time. Had to work on Tuesday like you did.
Yes.
Sports, baby. We don't get a week off.
I can't wait. Everyone keeps saying they're like, wait till next year when the Christmas is on a Wednesday. Like, hopefully we'll get some more days off. So we'll see. But I know Dan asked me today. He was like, "What are we doing for New Year's?" And I was like, "Babe, I don't know. I'm working. It's Sunday.
Yeah.
I don't know."
You working New Year's Eve too, huh?
Oh, yes, New Year's Eve.
You work into the new year. Yeah, I have to work.
Yes. Oh, it's not too bad. So you can actually go out. Yeah, I think we're gonna do some kind of champagne toast on live on air, which would be fun. But let's get into it. Enough talk about our holidays. Let's talk about the important stuff that happened on the holidays.
Is Lamar Jackson coming? That should be Mike Florio's New Year's present.
I'm sorry, Mike Flores, I believe they call him. Flowers, yeah. That was I cut that clip no less than like 6 times on Christmas night. So, sometimes when you have a bad take, you gotta
eat it, man.
You gotta eat it, It's not fun, but you do. So first thing we're gonna talk about is, this is it. It seems crazy when you say it, like Russell Wilson's getting benched for Jared Stidham. Like, that seems like a crazy thing to say. But then when you look back at the play the last few weeks, it doesn't actually seem that crazy. I love this headline: Denver Bronco kicking Wilson to the curb.
I try, man.
I'm not shocked because I'm not shocked. It's just I feel like the Broncos have been through like 4 seasons in 1 season, if that makes sense. Like, the beginning, they were so bad. They got annihilated by Miami. And then they seemingly like came back and were doing pretty well. And then all of a sudden, these last few weeks, it's like they've fallen off of a cliff again. And it's, I don't think it's all on him to blame, but I do kind of agree a little bit with what Sean Payton said today. He said that they're looking for something to spark the offense, right? And he's not saying that, that he's never going to play in Denver again, or that, he doesn't understand how big of a commitment money-wise the Broncos have, but he's saying that they're looking for that spark on what's next.
Let me
But
let me help him out. It's not Jared Stidham. let
no,
me,
well,
let me
that's the confusing thing. It's like, okay, what is yeah, that's where it is confusing. It's like, okay, Jared Stidham, I feel like we've proven that he's not a guy, like he's not him or
he's
however
not
you want
him.
to say it. No, he's definitely not him. But I don't know. I mean, Russell Wilson doesn't really look like him either. So,
I mean,
um,
I put it like this, man. I honestly am on like because I don't like it. I don't like the more it came out. I really don't understand like if you're a free agent this year and Denver is looking at you, why you would even go. I mean, I feel like Russell Wilson deserves credit for helping them win. What is it, 6, 7 games after they've
yes.
been trying to bench him for like 2 months. So like I just think that like and credit to Mike Flores and Chris Sims. That they a lot of people in the sports world and even some on this podcast like they were like I didn't like the whole look a couple weeks ago when he was yelling at him. Didn't like that. Honestly, don't think that's something you do to somebody that's won the same amount of rings as you have. I'm thinking that Sean Payton is overrated. Honestly, like I feel like you win one Super Bowl, you've been out of the league 5, 6 years. You come in as if you're God's gift to football, and the league has passed you by, Shawnee. Like it has passed you by. Like you can blame Russell Wilson all you want, but like when the same thing happens this weekend, like
Well,
it's
that's what I
it's
will be so interested to see, right? Is what happens after this weekend. Like, what is that press conference going to look like after the game? After they look relatively the same, if that
yeah.
makes sense. You know what I
I
mean?
mean,
Like
look,
I don't think they're going to look much different, if
right.
not maybe worse, right?
Right. I mean, for Broncos fans, right, you're playing what's left of the Chargers. They're basically tanking too. Like, but they're professionals too. It's a division game. Like, you're probably gonna lose. Like, because
Yeah.
they don't have the personnel. I know Mike Florio and Chris Sims today in the show that we both worked. They picked the Broncos off the new QB who this energy. But at this point, like you are who you are, dog. Like you could try to spin it as Sims tried to do today, saying, "Oh, they just run the same 9 plays." But I've got to say the same thing. Like if that's all they've been doing these past couple of weeks, couple of months, that's more
Yes.
of an indictment on Sean Payton than it is Russell Wilson.
And let's like not go crazy. Like the Broncos are playing the Chargers. Like it's
Right,
not like they're playing the Chiefs or
right,
the Ravens or the Eagles. Like no, they're playing the Chargers who
right,
aren't playing for anything,
right,
are already out. And so yeah, if they sneak a win by, I mean they're playing a bad team.
right,
And the Patriots aren't a good team either, but and they also didn't get annihilated. They only lost by 3. It's not, and
right.
yes, the week before they lost by, I can't even do the math, 42-17. They lost by a lot. So they haven't looked good. But I mean, so yes, if they sneak a win by this weekend, would I be surprised? No. But also like I don't think beating the Chargers in a game that doesn't matter for either team to
Well,
be
it
a
matters for them because
but
like
that's what I'm
somehow
saying.
they're
It
still
matters.
in they're
They're
still in
still
the
in the
playoff
playoffs.
hunt.
So that's what I'm saying. So you're playing a team that has no chance of making the have already been eliminated. You have the bump of a new energy in there. Like, yeah, if you win, I don't think that's saying that Jared Stidham is a god at quarterback. I think that it's just saying that you're playing the Chargers in week
Yeah.
17 of the or 16 of the season,
No, you're right. 17. One more game.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah. So like, I mean, I'll say it like this, man. We've talked about this over the summer. That I don't begrudge these players, even though it hurts our hearts when it's like a member of our team or whatever team that we're a fan of. Like, all you got to do is look at what happened to Russell Wilson over these past months that none of us knew about, right?
Yes.
Nobody but him, the NFL, the NFLPA. Which, by the way, I say this all the time. I've said it to Morgan. I've said it. I've never said it on this podcast. This podcast wasn't in existence yet. But the NFLPA is the weakest union of all 4 sports leagues.
Very
Like
true.
it is horrible that a Super Bowl and an MVP winning quarterback has this done to him, and all they can basically say is, "Well, you just got to take it," right? Like, like Russell Wilson deserves so much more respect for this, and the
Yep.
fact that Sean Payton and the other higher ups been trying to save their job for the past 2 months, and all this man has done is try to win games for him, despite the fact that this man has been sabotaging him probably since he got there.
Yeah.
like
No, I
you
mean,
know, and so Broncos fans, I hope you don't end up like the Panthers, the Bears, the Lions to a lesser extent who just got good. Like, when you screw over a quarterback and or a coach, just ask the Panthers and the Lions, because they and the Bears, because they shared Jim Caldwell and they all screwed him over and they haven't made the playoffs since. So like, I hope that this doesn't bite you in the face. I mean, it will, because look at Seattle. Like Pete Carroll can, Pete Carroll, Seahawks, you catch the strays too. Like Pete Carroll can bloviate, do all this other stuff, but it's gonna look very similar to what's going on in Denver. They're not gonna go anywhere because, as we've seen, quarterbacks are a dime a dozen, and a Russell Wilson is not somebody you could easily replace. Just ask Pete Carroll, because he's looking at it at Geno Smith and Drew Lock and can't make the playoffs with either one of them,
yep.
or doesn't go anywhere close to where he should be with them. Matter of fact, he should just be fired now because like it's going to be the same thing. Like those both are two coaches who have won the Super Bowl and think that they're bigger than the game, right?
No, it's true.
Like Sean Payton, like I'm trying not to blow him up before we get to the he's not him, she's not her, and they're not them segment, because I've got a lot to say about him. Drew Brees is not walking through that door. You do not have Marcus Colston. You don't have Jimmy Graham, Jeremy Shockey. You don't have any talent. Like, this is no knock on the Broncos, but come on. Like, Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, that's it. Like that is the talent on that team right there. Like, Riggs is in. No, he played for the Raiders. Never mind. But like you don't have any talent on that team. So it's personnel. It's you. And Russell Wilson was out here winning despite all of y'all. So like, if anything, he should get hazard pay just for that. But we're gonna get to this question. What does this mean for Russ's legacy? Like, to me, I just think it builds his legacy. I mean, because that's just what happened to him in Denver. We have no idea what was going on in Seattle.
Like, no, that's true.
Like, he may have been it might have been something similar to this in Seattle. So we have no idea what happened in Seattle. This man was being self-sabotaged. He was getting threatening phone calls about drop that $37 million or we'll bench you. Like, I'm glad he didn't, man. Get your money, Russ. You married to Sierra and she keep having babies. Get your money. Get your money. Get your money, man. Get your money.
I mean, yeah, there's a lot that's going into this. I think, when he tweeted today that he's interested in seeing what's next, I have a feeling that means that he believes that he's done in Denver. I don't know exactly where he's going to go next, but I think some of the places that we've been thinking for is, I mean, there's a lot of people that need quarterbacks right now. I think Washington needs a quarterback. I think we need a quarterback, especially because I don't know what. Okay, I don't want Russell Wilson in the Giants. I can tell you that. I just don't think would be a good fit. But Daniel Jones we're not really exactly sure what this injury is going to look like in the long run. I have a feeling that the Chargers might be looking for a new quarterback, not because their quarterback isn't good, because their quarterback is going to say, peace out, I am done with this dumpster fire.
Soon as he's able to, Justin Herbert is out, bro.
Like, seriously, the second he can, he's like, bye-bye, like, I'm done. I am done with this SHIT. Yeah, ridiculous. So I don't think that this is going to do anything really for Russ's legacy. Honestly, I think this is going to look worse on Sean Payton, kind of like you said, in the long run than it will on Russ. And hand up, could totally be wrong about that, but I don't know. I just have a feeling that people are not going to look fondly on this.
Yeah.
In his capacity, I guess, if that makes sense.
No, I totally feel you. Like, I think that it's Russ's legacy is gold to me. If like I said, if we didn't know what we know now, hands up, I have not watched Broncos games. I haven't watched the Broncos game other than on SNF recently, probably since last year when they played the Eagles. So like, but I remember Russell Wilson very fondly because, um, he was I saw him a lot when the Seahawks would play the Eagles. So like, he's a good quarterback.
Yeah.
I don't think anything, like, I don't want to speak badly on this man after what we now know he's been going through. Like, and the fact that he still was 28 touchdowns, still had 4,000 yards, still was out here making Cortland Sutton and Jerry Jeudy look like fantasy relevant players. Like, still was out here making dust in the gold, making Denver look good, despite the fact that, I guess Sean Payton thinks he can maybe convince Drew Brees to stop being a good father and come out of
Yeah,
retirement.
yeah, is that what he's thinking? Like, I
Like,
don't.
like I don't really know what's going on with Sean Payton or why he thinks he could just make a quarterback grow on trees. I'm pretty sure. The last time we saw Drew Brees, like, he couldn't throw past 20 yards. There's no knock on him. It's just Father Time. Like, is undefeated. Like, he really couldn't throw past 20 yards.
No, it's true.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think that, yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting. So I think this is a really good question. And that's kind of what I was saying earlier, is that I think that this is why I think that this is going to end up reflecting worse on Sean Payton than it does on Russell Wilson, because I think that Sean Payton is trying to cover up for the inadequacies that he has as a coach. And I think that he took some time off from the league, which is fine. Like, again, no shade, no tea. Like, you do you, girlfriend. But, like, you took time off and you come back and you expect to be like the greatest thing that's ever, since sliced bread. And now all of a sudden, oh my God, I'm not a good quarterback, or I'm not a good coach anymore, or as good of a coach as I once was. And I think that he's worried that it's going to tarnish his legacy. And I think that that might be a valid worry. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think like, obviously Sean Payton was already behind the eight ball, taking 3, 4, 5 years off, however long we remember that it was. Obviously, you don't have Drew Brees. He's out here being a father, to his 3, 4 kids. Like, no knock on that. Obviously, I didn't, I hope nobody thought that what I just said about him being a good father is a knock at all. Like,
No.
I'm not.
Because I think that it's a valid thing. He said he wanted to go home, be at home with his family, which
Right.
is awesome.
Right.
That's great. We love that.
Right.
But I think a lot of people would also like him. I mean, you could probably say the same thing as about like Andrew Luck, right? Like,
Yeah.
people are hoping, like, somehow still hoping that he'll come back and
Right.
coach or play or do something. And
Right. It's not a knock at all, but like, Drew Brees isn't coming back. Marcus Colston isn't coming out of retirement. Like,
no.
The talent isn't there, and like, the good thing for Denver is even if they were good, they would still be second or third place in the West. So it doesn't really matter anyway,
Yes.
because Sean Payton, it doesn't matter. You're playing for second because you've got that juggernaut, which isn't really looking like a juggernaut right now, but that juggernaut in Kansas City that you'll never win until, Mahomes retires, and you'll probably will be old, but you'll probably, Sean Payton being like 50, 60, you'll be long in the grave by the time that happens. So
Yeah.
so like, it doesn't compute, man. Like, I think he is using Russ as a scapegoat because he can't say, like he said today, like, he was kind of joking, but I think kind of being serious, that like, he can't bench the whole offensive line because they're terrible. There was Florio talked about, there's a clip of them like not trying to help Russell Wilson up. But if I was anybody on Denver's side, I'd be helping that man up. I'd be making sure that I'm holding Russell Wilson up, because clearly he was the only positive thing going on for Denver right now on the football field. So, like, to me, I just think that Russ is being used as a scapegoat, unfortunately, because he's got an old coach who the game has passed him by.
Yep.
An untalented roster. Like I said, when Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton are like your two best options, you're kind of lost right there, right? So like,
Yep.
So like it is what it is. We wish you well, Russ. Sean Payton, we'll see. Um, Stidham, I mean, I hope you do well, bro, because if you don't, that definitely put you out on Front Street too in these next 2 weeks. Um, but you kind of touched on it. Where's Russell Wilson heading next? New York. Uh, to go
We don't
rebuild
want him. We
go
don't want
rebuild the
him.
Commanders. It's kind of funny, right? If you look back on it a couple of years ago, because it's only really been like 2-3 years. Like it's a great what if. This isn't the question, but like to me, he's either going to end up being realistic. He's going to end up either in DC, LA, or Dallas. I don't want to
Yep.
alarm Dak Prescott, but Russell Wilson is that guy. He's won a Super Bowl. Like he's mobile. Like I would be a little worried, dog, if I was you, Dak, because no one's saying it right now, but like I think the leash. I think Jerry's gonna cut McCarthy. I really do. Like I think he's gonna cut him, and then he'll be looking for a new quarterback. Now, fortunately for Dacky, his contract is ironclad, so he might be good for another year or two. But don't be surprised if you see Dallas signs Russell Wilson, and you'll be like, well, they got Trey Lance, they got Dak Prescott. Where does Russell Wilson fit in? Hit, Dacky Dak. You might be gone. You might be gone soon. Just saying. But the greatest what if in football right now is, a couple of years ago when he was a free agent, the Philadelphia Eagles, because Jeffrey Lurie loves him some Russell Wilson, and he's been on record. People can look this up because he's on record saying that he wanted Russell Wilson the year before they drafted Carson Wentz. That was the greatest miss that he said he's ever had because he really wanted Russell Wilson, right?
Yeah.
So the Eagles actually had a deal with Seattle that they would trade whatever pick that was and bring Russell Wilson to Philadelphia. But Russ nixed that deal now
Really?
because he didn't want to come to Philly. Now,
I did not know that.
I'm sure he looked back. I'm sure he looks back on that as if to say, maybe I should have gone to Philadelphia and been behind that line, be able to throw to A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith.
Yeah.
I mean, the Eagles might not have had that pick, and maybe Devontae Smith ends up with your Giants because they probably wouldn't have had that pick if they had to trade for Russell Wilson. But so maybe y'all might have had Devontae Smith, and this might have been a different conversation.
You're just making me sad now. You're giving me all these like really cool scenarios that like could have happened, and
no, it would have happened had he not wanted to come to Philly. So, you could have had Devontae Smith.
We could have used him.
So that's the greatest what if. Obviously, that can't happen now because the Eagles. I mean, it wouldn't shock me, but I think Howie Roseman has learned this lesson about bringing another quarterback when you like already paying one. I think. I would hope, but you never know. I mean, Jeffrey Lurie's love for Russell Wilson might even affect that, but it's the greatest what if. But realistically, right, he'll end up in Washington, New Orleans. Wouldn't that be ironic?
What about Vegas?
Yeah, maybe Vegas. They definitely need a quarterback, and that would be even more ironic because that's Jarrett Stidham's old team. And I think Garoppolo would be like, man, can I not escape this guy?
Literally,
I just think that for Russell Wilson, you got to get that guarantee. You got to go somewhere that allow you to make the playoffs. Have like a good old line behind you. You got to go somewhere with some talent, maybe. And maybe of all those, there's only really two realistic ones. Really, it's either Washington or LA. Just to go be with the Commanders. I mean, if Matthew Stafford decides that's it, hey, he could go to the Rams. But I doubt that's it. Maybe I keep saying it. We'll get to them in a minute. But San Francisco, maybe Brock Purdy ain't it.
When we get there, I have a very funny story to tell. But I think I think this is going to be an ongoing story for the next few weeks. We'll definitely keep an eye on it. We'll probably bring it up again at some point as we keep talking about this. But okay, we're going to head over to our game that's happening in about 4 hours. The Browns versus the Jets.
Game nobody wants to be TNF.
Yeah, it just so the Browns clinch a playoff spot if they win, which they should. They're
Right.
playing the Jets that have nothing to play for. Who is starting at quarterback for the Jets? I know that sounds bad. I don't even know. Is it? Oh yeah, this game is Joe Flacco versus Trevor Siemian.
I was about to say, is it?
Kidding me?
I was about to say, is it the Broncos' old quarterback?
Oh God.
Siemian, yeah.
Wait, okay. This is crazy. This is actually insane. Both teams have started 4 different quarterbacks this season.
What?
Isn't that crazy?
Wow.
Wow.
Wow. Yeah, the Browns should win. I'm with you.
I mean, they should.
I'm with you there, but like we said, like Cleveland, New York, strange things happen during this game, but the Browns should win. They have more talent. They have the better defense. They have the better quarterback. I mean, you were just in Delaware's own. Joe Flacco, man, he was, chilling with his, I'm assuming he's married, with his wife or like something like that. And then he got the call. Flacco is gonna take him to the playoffs. I don't know if he'll take him to the Super Bowl, but the way he's throwing,
he's just slinging it. I mean, he is like
the way he's slinging it at 40-something years old, man. Like, I know that some people that we work with are like saying that won't happen against, Sauce Gardner and them, but I just think that, as long as Amari Cooper is open, he down there somewhere. So like, I fully expect them to win. It might not be a blowout. Like maybe it'll be 30-20 instead of 30-10. But I think they'll win. I think they'll make the playoffs. Obviously Joe Flacco is not the QB of the future. That's Deshaun Watson, but he's making Cleveland think about maybe they do need to draft a quarterback, or I don't know if Flacco can be your long-term answer for next season, but he's looking good right now, and that's all that matters to Cleveland because they want to be in the playoffs. So there's nothing. It's kind of like the Giants-Eagles game last week. There's nothing really to say about it. Like
it's going to be boring. It's probably going to be a big defensive game, and
like you should just be watching for how fast Al Michaels gets sick of this game.
I give over/under before halftime. But
like how fast does Al Michaels get sick of this game and wants to walk out the booth?
So, because we're gonna move on because this game doesn't really matter. This game, though, however, I will eat my crow or eat my raven, I guess, as I should say. Brock Purdy looked freaking terrible. Like, what was it? It was 4 interceptions on like the first 6 drives, or was it the first 4 drives?
Yeah, like 4. There, you were probably right. First 6. I was watching. I was channel surfing between that and the Sixers game.
It was so bad. So we put this on. We had the Giants game on, and some people that came over were big Eagles fans. We watched that, and pretty much as soon as that game ended, we started eating dinner. Mm-hmm. So we didn't really watch the beginning of this game. And so I kind of, came back over, and I heard them say, this is his 4th interception. And I looked at my dad and I said, what? Because all day, my dad who's like, Commanders fan, but has become kind of like, he reminds me so much of Mike Florio with the fact that he just like seemingly hates the NFL now. Everything is, all these players suck now. The reffing sucks. This is no one knows how to play football. I'm like, okay, Dad. Grumpy old like 72-year-old man gets like, but he's convinced that Brock Purdy's going to win MVP before the game. And I'm like, Dad, you put any quarterback in and they're going to do the same thing that Brock Purdy does, blah, 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 blah. So we're arguing. So I heard 4 interceptions. I look at my dad and I said, did he just say 4 interceptions? And my dad was like, yes. And I said, wow, but he's going to win the MVP, right, Dad? The whole game. Anytime Brock Purdy did anything, I was like, but Dad, he's going to win MVP, right? And he was so sick of me by the end of the game. It was just a good old-fashioned beatdown. I mean.
Yeah, man. Like we said before, last week when we were previewing this game, like the Ravens are just they're the best defense that Brock Purdy has faced. Outside of Cleveland, obviously.
Yeah.
And like I said, Kyle Hamilton, Patrick Queen would get real acquainted with Kyle Hamilton specifically with McCaffrey,
Yep.
Patrick Queen with Greg Kittle, and Debo. Debo got Debo, man. Like I love The Wire, so like I don't know if you've seen the episodes of The
I,
Wire.
I haven't, but Dan's a big fan, so I
Yeah,
know.
like they got. I obviously can't say Wire Niners, but I wanted to. But in this headline, but like that's what happened, man. They got beat down. Like like the Niners are a really good team. I kind of have to be careful because they did beat down my Eagles, but like they are like I tell people all the time. This is no knock on the Niners. I've told their fans this, right? Like your team is the ultimate front runners. Like they're even worse than the Cowboys. Like within like the first 2 quarters if the Niners are going to win that game or they're going to lose. Now, the biggest thing for the Niners, other than the fact that you lost this game, was seems like there's something wrong with Trent Williams, and you kind of need that because if he's done, you don't really have good offensive linemen outside of him. He's kind of one of those fake tough guys anyway. He used to play for your Commanders, so I know he got that from them. So like he's injured. Obviously, the former Eagle Javon Hargrave and Armstead also are injured. So like anybody can run on you now. It's what happens every year. I mean, it leads into the next question, right? Like are, are the Niners really the team to beat, or are they headed for disappointment once again in the playoffs? Like I said, I don't want nobody to get this twisted. I don't hate the Niners. Like, before this current era, I love the Niners, love Colin Kaepernick, love Steve Young. Like, if anything, like the one team in the NFC I had no hate for were the Niners because like you could who can hate a team in California, right? Like, unless you play them every day, which
I was gonna
the
say
Eagles did.
they have no fans, so
Right. Like, who could hate that? I mean, we all grew up on Steve Young. Obviously, you and I both missed Joe Montana, famous Pennsylvanian Joe Montana. Both of us weren't alive for that, but we saw Steve Young, and Jerry Rice, and who hated that? Like those two players that you couldn't hate, can't hate Brock Purdy, but you can hate everybody else. Everybody just everybody else on that team besides Kittle, like it's just like the Niners are that team like you want them at full strength, but it just seems like they never can be. Like it's I hope because these next 2 games, obviously they've got a good get right game this weekend. They'll probably win that, but then they face the Rams. So like you don't really want to face the Rams right now. like
no, we
like,
talked about it last week
like
that's a team that's kind of scary because you don't really know what they're gonna do.
right.
And
Right. Like I said last week, I'm glad the Eagles played them early before they got it together because, the Niners need to win this game and they should win this game on Sunday. It's against your hometown team, the Commanders. They should win that game. And so like, Chase Young has every reason to destroy the Commanders. You should win that game. You should be able to lock up the number 1 seed so that this game doesn't matter unless you're kind of like Mike Florio suggested, just want to knock out a division rival.
which
But
some teams care about,
yeah, kind of like what I think is more likely is kind of like what happened last year when the Eagles had it locked up and the Giants had their playoff spot locked up. What will probably happen is if they both have their spots locked up, um, they'll probably rest everybody because it should look like next weekend should probably look like what the Eagles Giants game looked like last weekend about this time. You know, nothing but backups in there because you got to get ready for the playoffs. Now the
Yeah.
Niners may have an incentive to play everybody because more than likely, unless they lose to the Commanders, they will probably have the number 1 seed locked up by then. So like unless they really just want to knock the Rams out, they shouldn't waste any time. They should beat up on the Commanders. But I just think, to answer the question, I think they are headed for disappointment just because they can't stay healthy. I don't know what they need to do. I don't know if maybe they need a new trainers to keep people healthy. Maybe they need to get younger, specifically on the offensive line. Like, I don't know what they need to do. Um, other than the obvious, right? After or when you lose, right? Whether that be, in the playoffs or in the Super Bowl, when you lose, just don't complain. Like, don't do what you did last offseason. Don't do what you did last offseason. Like, when you lose, when somebody gets injured outside of Trent Williams and Javon Hargrave and Armstead, I'm not wishing this on anybody, but when somebody, because it's inevitable because it's the Niners. Like,
Yeah,
when somebody gets hurt, I don't want to hear no complaining from the players. Like, the fans, fine, but no complaining from the players. Like, I don't want to hear that. Like,
that's fair.
when you lose, don't complain. Like, they are definitely headed for disappointment. But I'm interested because of the two of us, you're more the Niners, like, the person who picks them more than me. So you go right ahead.
Yeah, I think the thing that scares me about the Niners is really that sometimes they just have these like horrific games where they just fall apart, and it's like kind of comes out of nowhere. You don't really know when it's going to happen, and it doesn't seem to matter if it's against an amazing team like the Ravens really are a good team, or a not so amazing team. It just seems like it can just happen, and that's terrifying if you're trying to pick a team to win because you don't know if it's going to be their day or not. And so, I like the 49ers. I would love to see them in the Super Bowl, but I don't know. I mean, if they play like that, they're not getting there. But if they play like they did the week before, I don't see anybody beating them. So that's what's really hard.
Agreed. So what do we think this victory says about the Ravens? So to me, I just think it says the Ravens are the best team in the AFC. And they might be the best team in football. Like, they might have an argument. I think that the best team in football resides here in Philadelphia.
I know you do.
But, I won't begrudge our neighbors an hour and a half away in Baltimore, who are looking like they're starving for a championship. And I'm just going to say, man, it's, all Lamar, I just feel like, I told every 49ers fan, and you remember this because we did the broadcast and you were shocked when I said it, that the Niners should have traded for Lamar Jackson because that would have been perfect for them. A mobile quarterback. That's what they had the last time they made the Super Bowl, who can throw some deep balls. And I like Brock Purdy, but that's not his style, man. My man's more of a dink and duck, middle of the field player. By the way, nobody's looking better than Cam Newton, who totally called this like 2 weeks ago on his podcast of the game managers and how they would all lose. We kind of looked at him a little suspect because he had Dak Prescott in there, but I mean, we might have to put Dak Prescott in that game manager territory. But like, it's the Ravens have one of the ultimate cheat codes. There's not many of these ultimate cheat codes. There's one here in Philly. There's one here in KC. There's one in Buffalo, which my dad has been playfully getting on me because a few weeks ago I said Josh Allen had been surpassed and is dead in the water, and now he's making me. Now I got to eat crow a little bit on that one, but it doesn't matter if he doesn't make the playoffs. So I'm not eating crow until he makes the playoffs and makes it to a Super Bowl. So like I said, but it just says like this is what happens when you give Lamar Jackson an OC that believes in him and wants him to throw downfield. You give him some good receivers. We joke about the aging Odell Beckham, but he got Odell looking like his giant self down there. And like, and I just you can't really doubt it, man. The Ravens look good. They look like a Super Bowl contender. And Lamar Jackson looks like the MVP right now.
Yeah. I don't think that, again, like I kept asking my dad, are you sure that Brock Purdy's the MVP? Are you sure that he's the MVP? I think that Brock Purdy lost it 100% for himself this weekend. And I think that if it's not Lamar, it's going to go to someone like Tyreek Hill or Christian McCaffrey. I think Lamar is kind of the only quarterback left, I guess you could say. So yeah, I think it's going to be exciting. I think that Lamar probably deserves it at this point. No matter what my boss Mike Flores says. Um, but yeah, so I think that this victory was needed for the Ravens,
Raiders.
and I think that it proves that they're the big boys and can play with the big dogs.
Yeah. Ooh. Nickelodeon game.
Nickelodeon game. All right, we're gonna speed through some of the rest of these because we are already at 40 minutes and we are on like topic number 4. So yeah, this game was weird. The Chiefs looked terrible. I want to just call it like a fluke game, but yeah, I don't know. They looked terrible. I don't
Yeah.
know what else to say.
Yeah, they look like they partied before this. I know some people in sports broadcasting and radio are blaming Taylor Swift and saying that Travis Kelsey played better when he was single. But I don't really blame Taylor Swift. I blame the fact that Patrick Mahomes outside of Travis Kelsey is just out here basically throwing to you and me. It might as well just be Kylan and Morgan out there because he's not getting anything from his receivers.
Yep.
I think that's just ultimately the difference, man. It is looking like what it looked like for Donovan McNabb, obviously just with 2 more Super Bowl rings, that he's just out here throwing to any random player you can create in Madden, as a wide receiver outside of Travis Kelsey. So to me, it's like if Travis Kelsey isn't going God mode, it doesn't seem like the Chiefs have a chance, and I hope I'm wrong, but this leads into the next question. I think we like you said, we're going to speak through this one, but I think they are going to win the division. I mean, as we talked about off air, they would literally have to lose these next 2 games for the Raiders to even have a chance, which I know there's a lot of Raiders fans that hope that happens, but realistically, that shouldn't happen.
No, but
yeah, but you never know. So, I just think they need to run simpler routes. Isaiah Pacheco,
they're good enough to do that. And that's what's sometimes frustrating when you watch them is like, why are you guys doing all this crazy stuff?
Yeah.
Like, you have some of the best players in the league. Just, you can win by doing things simply,
But by the way, that fumble with him laterally it in and trying to do the flea flicker was the funniest thing. Because I was watching on Nickelodeon, which I know that you and I talked about is the preferred watch between the two of us when we're watching games. If they're simulcast on CBS and Nickelodeon, right? It just Noah and them were mid sentence talking about something else, and it's just like fumble. It was
they were like, whoa,
it's like they were doing this. They were doing the whatever they had planned before, and then he just fumbled because you think obviously unless he gets sacked, like Patrick Mahomes doesn't fumble and flea flicker opportunity and touchdown, big man. As a lot of our colleagues like to say, big man touchdown. You never see that.
They're so fun. They're so fun when they happen too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Again, they're a similar boat to me as the 49ers. It's like all of a sudden sometimes they just play these games and you're like, what is happening right now? Like, this is not the Patrick Mahomes, the Travis Kelsey, all the players that we know. And one thing I will say is that I felt like we saw Patrick Mahomes get much more visibly frustrated. Like the last few weeks, I feel like we've seen him get more frustrated than we have in the past.
Yeah, because his talent can't cover it up, man. I think the last few years we didn't see this because his talent could cover it up. I mean, last year obviously was like the second full year of not having Tyreek Hill. They had a little bit more talent, on the wide receiver pool, but now it's just all on him and Travis, and they're both just like, what can I do? Like they're triple teaming him and making me throw to these guys that are going to drop it.
Well, that's you can't, like, Kadarius Toney is so bad. And again, all Giants fans,
you wouldn't know as a former Giants fan.
We would know. We knew that when he was starting to play bad. I was like, this is not a shock to anybody that's actually watched him play.
Right.
So.
Yeah. I mean, like I said, the only hope the Chiefs have is, like I said, if they can find a way to get Travis Kelsey to go God mode, and if Patrick Mahomes just throws to himself outside of throwing to Travis Kelsey.
Yep. Okay, well, this game was much more fun than I thought it was going to be. I actually had hope, which is sad, but
Worst mistake.
I know it is the worst when you like think that you like actually might win a game. But like I don't know, this was really fun. We were watching this, like I said, we were watching this at my mom's house, and we had some friends, family friends over that are giant Eagles fans, which so that was kind of fun. The whole game I was shouting pick six, pick six, pick six, and then when it happened, it was very exciting for me.
The luckiest pick
Um,
six ever.
Luckiest pick six ever. But I mean, they're the Giants. Like, what do we expect? Like, that's what we thought was going to happen. But I have to say, I don't
We
know
both
if
got this game right.
I don't know if this looks, if this is one of those things that's like, I'm more like, I would be more upset if I was a Giants fan or more upset if I'm an Eagles fan because that game was close.
Yeah, I think that like I'm taking off my Eagles fan hat and putting on the journalist hat again. As like as taking off the hat right now. I think like if you're an Eagles fan, if you watch this game objectively, like the Eagles did what they needed to do. They leaned more into the run game, which I've said on this podcast multiple times that the Eagles are better when they're balanced. I don't know why this year, after the last 2 years, they decided to not be balanced after trading basically the farm and a couple second round picks to get DeAndre Swift. Why they're not using him more in the screen game, which is basically an addition of the run game to the Eagles. And obviously Dallas Goedert got injured, or they would have been doing this more, attacking the middle, which is what they did to the Giants, which is what they should have done to the 49ers a few weeks ago. Like when they got that touchdown pass, it was Devontae Smith over the middle. Like the middle is wide open whenever the Eagles want to attack it. And I don't know why they play like they're blind. Like we just got through talking about their opponents, the Chiefs, like the Super Bowl opponents. Like, it seems like it's a reverse, right? It's usually the Super Bowl loser that has the worst season. And right now, the Super Bowl loser has a better record than the Super Bowl winner. So, like, the Eagles just have to, like, really fix, like, get some simpler, not simpler routes, but, like, just take. I feel like the Eagles are struggling like the Chiefs were last year. They want the big play, but all that's open is, like, dink and dunk middle plays, and they don't want to take it. I feel like that's what's getting them right now. Like,
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
obviously, like there's tape on them now, right? People know that Jalen Hurts obviously can throw a deep ball, and he's a lot better at it now after taking all summer and the fall to work on it, right? Like, so they're not giving him the deep pass. It's not open. So just do what Patrick Mahomes did: attack over the middle, use that tight end, use AJ Brown, run the ball, like, and you win. And obviously, like you had Isaiah Simmons pushing Zacchaeus and Covey into two people, and that's what gave you the first touchdown. Then you got the luckiest pick six ever. But like other than that, like if they can find the simplest thing, if you're an Eagles fan or anybody, like don't let these national types like scare you, man. If the Eagles don't turn the ball over and they don't have dumb penalties and they don't act like they're the Philadelphia Cowboys, they win games. Like if they don't act like they're the Philadelphia Cowboys with all the stupid behind false start penalties, and honestly, that field goal, I'm going to be honest and objective here, that field goal should not have happened. But thankfully, the Giants are just as undisciplined as the Eagles, and so they got a delay game, which allowed that field goal to happen. Otherwise, it would have been
That delay of game was.
Oh, that striker corner, that delay.
We had some bad calls against us. That false start on
Jalen Carter.
no, on us, on
I know it should have been
our
on Jalen Carter.
yes, on our center who looked down like what? Oh, I was so mad. I was like screaming at the television, but
Oh man. But
that,
yeah. And I totally understand that. Like, being objective and taking the Eagles fan hat off. Like the delayed game was totally justified. For the false start, probably not. But like the Eagles just need to like woosah, bro. You're 11-4. You've got the Cardinals again. like I said, don't be surprised when this happens. Next week, Jalen Hurts, the rest of the starters are not playing on that crappy turf that y'all call MetLife Stadium. They're not doing it. So,
No.
so for all intents and purposes, this is the season. This is the season finale coming up this Sunday for the Eagles in the regular season.
Yes.
You want to talk about your savior, Tyrod?
No, not really. I mean, they're fine. They're not going to be our quarterback forever. I don't know what's going to happen. I'm not sure if Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback or not, or if
Drake May, baby. Drake May or
I
Caleb
I
Williams.
don't know.
But
I don't know.
I do want to give the NFC East some credit. I saw shout out to Philadelphia Tribune and or Inquirer reporter OJ Spivey. I believe this is the first time in the history of the NFC East that all 4 quarterbacks starting this weekend are black. So shout out.
That's pretty cool. That is pretty cool.
Shout out to the NFC East because this is the first time that's happened. So shout out to the NFC East for that. It might be the first time in NFL history. I don't believe that might not be true, but it might be. At least in the NFC East history. So
That's awesome.
shout out to everybody. Everybody's starting a black quarterback this Sunday. So shout out to that. Some black history happening a couple of months before Black History Month. Shout out. So yeah. So any predictions or things to watch out for during the next to last week of the regular season football? I know that as a football watcher, I know that hurts your heart.
I know. I honestly think most of these next couple of games are just there aren't that many teams that are playing other teams that also need to play well. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think a lot of these games are probably going to be blowouts, which kind of sucks. But that's seemingly how this season is going to shake out.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I look for. Sorry to cut you off. The only thing I look for is I think Dallas should win, but
yes.
I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions win. Honestly, it doesn't help. It helps the Eagles either way. Then they really clinch the division, and it doesn't matter what happens.
Do you think the Lions are going to sit people?
I don't think so. I think Danny bite the kneecaps. Campbell ain't gonna let that happen. So,
that's also fair.
So I think the Cowboys should win, but I wouldn't be surprised if the Lions win. Only other thing to look for is this Buffalo-Miami game. I think Miami should win this weekend. So that game probably won't mean as much as Mike Florio and them want it to mean. But if it's Bills-Dolphins next week, that's probably the biggest game on the schedule next weekend, heading into New Year's Day. So yeah, nothing else to talk about. And before we jump to the NBA, you want to talk about your boys dominating Christmas?
I think that it's hard for any other sport to compete with one-off football games, if that makes sense.
Especially when they juice the number by putting all the big cities on Christmas Day.
Yes. So they put a lot of really big games on Christmas Day. I think they knew what they were doing. I don't know if it's going to be like this every year. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get games on Christmas next year. You know, it just also happens that Christmas was on a Monday where teams play. But with Christmas on a Wednesday, I don't think that there's any way that you would be able to make it work.
Not unless you're giving everybody 2 buys.
Exactly. No, seriously. That's, I think, the,
Yeah, I think it's the NBA's. Like, the NBA has the work, and I don't just say this as 1A basketball, 1B football. But, it is what it is. I think, like I said, obviously, when you have 17, 18 football games, of course it means something, even though none of those games, besides the Eagles games, really meant anything to any of those teams.
Yeah.
Other than the fact that it was a rivalry game, right? All of them happen to be rivalry games. So, it's just one of those things. Like the NFL, this happens. A lot of basketball fans are all like, "Oh my God, it's dooming." This only happens on a Sunday, whenever Christmas on Sunday, Monday, or Saturday. It's only 3 days a week. Calm down. Obviously, this is going to happen. 20, 30, 40 million people, and probably most of that was the Eagles game anyway. Because, they got their 30. They got what they wanted. They got the numbers juiced. But at the end of the day, basketball is the more international sport. Basketball has social media in a chokehold 24/7. It's not. The drama is clearly basketball. it's okay, guys. Like they could have this short little window. Like
Yeah,
I'm
that's what
happy.
I'm saying. I don't think it's gonna be like this is an every year thing. I think this is more of a it happens that that it's on this time and um it's great for football when it happens, but it's not going to happen every year, right?
Right. Yeah. All right. You wanna throw to this? You wanna make Detroit? Want to give this a mention? We got
Yeah,
to.
I mean, we like mentioned it slightly last time, kind of being like, are they gonna fill it out? Like, haha. And nope, they're still on a historic game losing streak. And I feel like you don't hear game losing a lot. Like, I feel like a lot of it is like game winning, but no, they are losing
Yeah.
27 games. Like, that almost doesn't seem possible. Like, it almost seems like within 27 games, you would just happen into a win, you know?
Hasn't happened since the Sixers did it back in the process days in the early 2010s. So yeah, it hasn't happened in 13 years. So
It's crazy.
yeah, and the Pistons aren't trying to lose these games, which
No,
is
no, that's the
crazy
other thing
part.
is that like
Like the
they're
the
trying to
Sixers were
win.
trying to lose when this happened last time. Like the Pistons aren't trying to lose, and it's just crazy, man. Like, and I all credit to Detroit because like despite the fact that they're losing, they haven't given up on the team like it would have happened if it was in Philadelphia, New York, DC, LA. Like most of us would have given up on the team by now. But Detroit keeps coming out. They keep celebrating. I saw a picture on social media. It looked like it was a sellout. So like,
They
they're
want
good.
them to win. Yeah, that's the biggest thing is that I think that they're not tanking. They're not they're
Right.
just
They just can't win.
they just can't win.
This is what happens when you have a really young team who's like, I think their combined ages is younger than us. They're like 21, 23, like
Jeez.
combined median age. Like, so like they don't know. I don't want to say they don't know any better. Obviously, they make more money than both of us to win
Yep.
games. But like, eventually this will turn around. The only thing I'll say is start Jaden Ivey and Kate Cunningham together, and you might win a game. So yeah, I think that's all I wanted to say about it. You got anything to add?
No, they're doing Michigan's doing fine right now though. They're
Yeah, they're okay. We're gonna get to their football team in a minute.
yeah.
and
Yeah,
uh,
they're okay.
yeah, so Sixers react to Christmas Day NBA games recap. Let me start with unless did you see any of the games on Christmas? No.
No, I'm not gonna lie to you. I was watching football all day.
Okay. Yeah. I kind of figured. um. So like on the NBA side, I think the only surprise other than Miami winning was which isn't really a surprise. Like I said, we knew Joel Embiid probably wasn't. I mean, we didn't know at the time, but he didn't turn his ankle until Friday. But we kind of figured I'll eat crow on this because I picked the Bucks. I think we both picked the Bucks, but I picked the Bucks. And they wound up losing to the Knicks. Again, like I said, this is what happens when you bring two talents together. They're missing Drew Holiday, lost that game. But the Nuggets did beat Golden State, like we both thought would happen.
Yep.
Nikola Jokic had a big game. So shout out to him for that. Um, Boston beat the Lakers. Not surprised, no surprise there. Jason Tatum had a good game. Obviously shows up. They show up on Christmas Day. And the one that I told y'all would happen, Mavericks beat the Suns. That bad blood really happened. Looks like Kevin Durant is looking for the exits. We're hearing the rumors about KD is starting to be like, I'm ready to get out of here. Like he's ready to jump again. Hopefully to Philadelphia. But it's looking like it's falling apart in Phoenix. Hopefully Devin Booker isn't left holding the bag again. But hopefully it turns around in Phoenix. But Luka put on a show. He was facing his rival and he showed out. And as far as the Sixers go, man, they got their first. They lost. Obviously, Tyrese Maxey put up a stinker, going 2 for 19, not his usual self on Christmas Day. But they beat the Magic, a surprising team who we talked about on this show before yesterday. So it's looking good for the Sixers. They'll play the Rockets tomorrow. We'll see about that. But it seems like Joel Embiid will be back, if not tomorrow night, Saturday when they play Chicago. They're trying to figure out because he's here in Philly now. Trying to figure out what works better for him. It'd probably be easier just to fly from Philly to Chicago than it would be to fly from Philly to Houston to then go from Houston to Chicago the next night. So like, I've never had a sprained ankle, but I hear
They're
um
horrible.
giving it
They're
rest is like the
horrible.
worst thing ever. So like it probably works better for him to do Chicago, but I wouldn't be surprised if he plays tomorrow.
I wouldn't
So,
either. I think that that's a lot of these guys, they playing through the pain seems to be their motto for better or worse. Couldn't be me. I would be sitting my butt on the couch, but you know.
yeah.
All right. Let's by the time we talk to you guys next, we'll know who's playing in the championship game. So who do you think's winning these two first ones, the big games?
All right. So I'm going to continue my streak of picking against Alabama, Michigan. I'm going to make our bosses really, really happy because I think I just don't believe in Texas. Like Vince Young is not coming through that door. Quinn Ewers, I think, is a real good guy. But I think that they would have a better chance if Arch Manning was playing instead of sitting on the bench. But
Interesting.
but since it's Quinn Ewers, I think he's a great quarterback. But I just think Washington has that stifling defense. They blitz a lot. They do a lot. I think it will be a future Big Ten championship matchup. I think it'll be Michigan, Washington in the championship. And because I just said that, I'm bound to go half and half because the only person that gets 2 for 2 in college football is you. So I'm going Michigan and Washington. But I'm sure
Okay.
you're about to tell me I'm wrong. So go ahead.
Yeah. Oh gosh, I don't know. I think I like Alabama because I like the history of Alabama, and I I don't know, the last year of it being 4, I can see them just like coming through and being like, I'm
We're
gonna
still the
win.
champions.
Yeah. I don't like Texas to win. I don't think that they, but I don't know. I'm like really, I'm
Wait,
struggling. I'm struggling with this, and
are
I
we
have
in
been.
agreement about Washington winning? This is the first time ever. Usually you pick against them.
I know, but I just like, yes, Texas won some big games this year, but like, I, I don't know because I don't think Washington's that good. So I think that game, whoever, I think the real
Champion.
championship is Alabama, Michigan.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think I'm gonna pick the same as you, which is crazy because I like the tradition of Alabama winning, but I also think that if any year is Michigan's year, this is their year. Harbaugh's probably going to the NFL. I just think that legacy wise, I think, yeah. So I think it's going to be Michigan, Washington, and then
Ooh.
I think Michigan's going to wreck Washington. Like,
Oh yeah,
wreck.
I think that I wouldn't be surprised if Washington wins, but Michigan would have to have like whoever wins that game for them to beat either Michigan or Alabama, they would both have to like get sick or party too hard during the
Yeah,
league
no,
for
yes,
that to
and I
happen.
think that that's the struggle that I'm having because I think that both Washington and, like I said, Washington and Texas, I just don't think are good enough to actually like really win it.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. So I'm going Washington. I'm going Washington,
Michigan.
Michigan. Yeah,
Oh wow, wow. Oh, Nick Saban
I
might have
know.
some bulletin board material. His girl didn't
I
pick him.
know. I know. And I'm a big Alabama fan. So that's hard for me. Hurts my heart.
Oh man. All right. Now our favorite segment.
Woo! All right.
You want to go first or should I?
I'll go first. So he's not him. It's got to be J.R. Alexander. I mean, what is happening? Like
No.
I loved what they said. Sorry, there's like something going on with my screen. Do you see that?
I
It's
see
like
let's see the little spot, but you're good.
okay. It is so bizarre. He gets benched because he came out. He was supposed to be an honorary captain when they were in Charlotte. And I guess he didn't get picked to be an honorary captain, so he went out there and did the coin flip anyway. And then got suspended. But then Matt LaFleur was like, you never get suspended for just one thing. So I'm like, well, what's the other thing? I want to know. I want to know what the other things are.
It seems like the other thing is showing too much personality and being.
Yeah. I'm like, what is happening? What is happening?
Yeah.
But and then I want to give a. It's okay.
Oh, Lord.
So I don't know how to phrase this. I want to give a she's not her to every sideline reporter that's not Tracy Wolf, because Tracy Wolf, I don't know if you heard, after the Lions game, not the Lions game, the Raiders-Chiefs game, went up to Antonio Pierce and asked him straight up, so do you think that you now deserve the head coach job? Like right after the game, right as emotions were full.
Oh,
He's
man.
crying on the sidelines. I was like, yes, every time they win, people should be asking him that question because I thought it was the best question. And I was like, yes, go Tracy.
She would ask that question.
Yeah, I know. She's so fierce. She's just like, I don't care. I'm going to ask it.
Yeah.
And then my...
Uh-oh. You got 3? Uh-oh.
My they aren't them.
Uh-oh.
Is Chiefs fans.
Oh!
You cannot go booing your two-time MVP, two-time Super Bowl winning 26-year-old quarterback who is the greatest, the chosen one, because he has a bad game. You cannot start booing him. We can't be doing that. So I know you're booing the whole team, but that's where I'm at. You can't boo him. You don't understand what it's like. I know you guys have had a good few years, but like, come on now, Chiefs fans.
Uh-oh.
We didn't boo Tommy DeVito when he got -9 yards in the entire game. So,
Lord Jesus. Okay. All right. My he's not him / they aren't them because it's 2 people in one. Sean Payton. And a guy who you would know if you follow me on Twitter, because I talk about this guy every time he tweets something negative about the Sixers. His name is Howard Eskin. He is a sports journalist here. So it's 2 birds with 1 stone because it's basically the old guard of sports media, essentially. One's a coach, one's a reporter here. I'm trying to be respectful of Sean Payton because he's done something I haven't done, which is win a Super Bowl ring. But that was, we were both in high school, college, or middle school by the time that happened. So, like, it was a long time ago.
We're in a different era of the NFL.
Yeah, like Drew Brees isn't coming through that door. And Sean Payton is out here, like, acting like the most sarcastic person ever, acting like in New Orleans, which they didn't. They never questioned anything he did, right? And, like, it's a different story when you're benching Russell Wilson, like, the best player on your team, right?
Yep.
You're yelling at him. You're doing all this stuff. You're making it clear that he's not your guy. And then you do this, and then you're all like, well, I can't bitch the O-line. I can't bitch the receivers. Yes, you can. You're the freaking coach.
You can do whatever you want.
You could have benched. They do this in basketball all the time. They bench, like Steve Kerr just did it. He benched everybody who wasn't Steph Curry, sorry. Like, you can totally do that. Like, you ain't got to just embarrass Russell Wilson. Like, but it's an out of touch coach. He's not him. Sorry, Broncos fans. You might get the curse because everybody else gets cursed every time they screw up. They screw over a franchise quarterback. So it might be your turn. You haven't won anything since Peyton Manning retired anyway. So it's not like you're due. And then Howard Eskin. I don't know if you saw this, Morgan, but during Christmas, after he turned his ankle a couple of days before, or a couple of hours before the game, he reported something. Now, a lot of the other Sixers reporters were saying Joel Embiid did not go to Orlando because he was in Philadelphia / Camden, New Jersey, getting treatment for his ankle. Everybody who watched that game or even heard about that game and got an alert, if you got an alert, you probably got an alert about him turning his ankle on Friday, right?
Yeah, I thought you thought he was going to die. It looked like he had died.
Yeah, so, like, So like, but he tweeted that he had heard from some of his Sixer sources. Just for clarity's sake, he has those Sixer sources. He's a big. I like I don't see the Sixers every day. I'm not in the press room obviously, but from what I understand from other Sixers reporters who are actually there, he only shows up after Eagles season. Like the Sixers
Mm,
really don't give him that. I mean, they give him the respect, but not the respect that everybody else gets for actually showing up. So, like, he has an axe to grind with the Sixers.
fair.
So anytime he tweets something, like he's been negative about the stadium that they're about to put in downtown Philadelphia, like any negative thing he's tweeting about it. It's suspect. You got to look at it kind of twice. It's the old guard, man. Like it's just like I'm trying to be respectful because he is in the Sports Hall of Fame, and eventually I might want a job here, so I got to be respectful. but like it's like this old guard of sports media just needs to like let it go, man. Like
Yep.
we're in an era now where like you don't need to have sources. Like the man got the Super Bowl ring from the Eagles because he covered. I don't. There's some like there's stories behind that. We don't really know why he got a Super Bowl ring, but they gave him a Super Bowl ring. Might be some ethical things there. To me at least, I don't know. But like that he got a Super Bowl ring. He covers the Eagles very doggedly, but doesn't really give the Sixers that respect. And the Sixers really really don't give him the time of day for real, for real. But yeah, so that's my days. They aren't them.
They
Like
aren't them. I love it. I love it.
and my other one,
Oh no.
my she's not her isn't Kim
Yeah.
Mulkey. It's the people who are
Oh.
coming at the Las Vegas Aces coach, Becky Hammon. New Yorkers, not you, New Yorkers, who were mad at Becky Hammon for telling the truth, and upsetting a lot of Villanova fans because she said Jalen Brunson, good player, but Jalen Brunson is not going to help the Knicks win a championship, and she's not wrong, right? Like, like the Knicks are like fourth or fifth place right now. Jalen Brunson is the most talented person on that team. But, Jalen Brunson, as great as he is, he's won a national title. He may eventually win a ring, but he can be your second option. He can't be your main option. That's no disrespect to him. Like, he was the second option in Villanova when they won. So it's no disrespect to him. But a lot of people were jumping, being like, how dare you say that about Jalen Brunson because he plays for the Knicks and he does well. Like, Jalen Brunson himself would probably admit, yeah, like I can be the main cog, but I'm not the main cog in a championship team. And like I know sports athletes have pride and everything, and he played for Villanova. I'm a fan of Jalen Brunson. I would love for him to win a ring. I hope it's for the Sixers and not for the Knicks. But I gotta agree with her. Like
Yeah.
I looked at it and I was like, she's not wrong. Like that girl knows ball. She's not wrong that he can't be the main cog in the championship. So they aren't them to everybody acting like she said something that we all didn't already know, like that Jalen Brunson can't be the main cog in a championship team.
I like it. I like it.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that wraps up another wonderful episode of the Sports Hour Plus with Miller and Watson. We will be back after New Year's. We'll talk the college games. We'll talk the wrapping up of the NFL season and beginning of some playoffs. So it's just kind of crazy. But we'll see you guys soon and have a wonderful New Year's. Stay safe, everybody.
Have a good one, y'all.